guys, you are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. I'm Mo. I'm joined by my co-host Wole and Glen. Our other co-host George is out. What's up, fellas?
What is good, man? What's good with you, bro? I'm good, chilling.
Hey, man,
everything's wonderful around here.
It's been hot outside, though, right, bro? It's been super hot.
Smoking.
Hot. You know it's going to be hot. Training camp, a couple of weeks away, man. So we got a little bit of topics to present to our listeners and our avid fans out there until training camp comes. Be the buffer, and then it's gonna be all new news.
Yeah, man, you're right. And before we get into all that, in terms of some news that we're going to talk about, hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also, tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, hey, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel and also like this video. All right, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll debate whether we think guard Sam Cosmi can be an elite offensive lineman for the Washington Commanders.
Man, and speaking on Sam Cosmi, he was one of the better players on the Commanders team last year. Was one of the bright spots for the Commanders. He was drafted as a promising tackle in 2021 out of University of Texas in the second round. Things didn't pan out for him at tackle, but he was officially moved to guard in 2023, where he's excelled. And in 2024, he seems to be the best offensive lineman on the team. Can he become an elite offensive lineman this season?
I think he can. I mean, last year he gave up only one sack. Gave up one sack last year as a guard. I think he has that leadership quality, and we use something that Wole talks about all the time. He got that dog in him, right? Sam, you can see that young guy, and he's willing to go after everyone. He's willing to go at it. Even though he's been drafted in 2021, third year in the league, coming up third year in the league, he is one of the leaders on this Washington Commanders. He's one of the veterans on this Washington Commanders offensive line. And based off of his ability and talent, even though he got moved on the inside in the Ron Rivera's regime, I think that worked out for him, and he has been able to produce, right? I mentioned earlier, he only got one sack against him. He only has 4 penalties, right? There's no holding penalties against him. That means he blocks with his hands. He moves his feet. So therefore, that's what you want in a guard. You want a guard who can block. You can guard who can pull. You want a guard that doesn't give up penalties. And I think Sam has been that guy, and he's able to lead the rest of the offensive line. And with Matt Quinn, those guys coming in, you should build. And it's hard for people to build around a guard. But Sam is a guy that you could build this offensive line around.
On Twitter, I was going to say X. I hate calling it X. On Twitter, at our Twitter at ABG_everything. We had a poll. Can Sam Cosmi become an elite guard in the NFL? 100% said yes. So I think he can be an elite guard. You come from tackle to guard. Typically, that's a good transition. You know what I mean? He was a second round pick in 2021. So he was highly touted coming out of Texas as a tackle. He showed some bright spots actually his rookie year as a tackle, playing right tackle. I have an argument to say he can go back to right tackle, to be honest with you, but that's neither here nor there. Because I'm not sure the tackles are better than him. But he definitely, he's a physical guy, he plays with a mean streak. I think that's very important when you play on the offensive line. I know a lot of people think that most offensive linemen play with a mean streak, but Cosmi really goes to battle with some of your elite pass rushers on the inside, and he doesn't back down. He's a guy that, to me, it's all about health with Sam Cosmi. You know what I mean? He gets banged up a lot at times. He still fights through it and plays. So I'm not saying that he's soft by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a tough one. But I think for him to reach that elite status, it's just going to be more about health. And it's hard when you're inside on your offensive lineman to be healthy throughout the season, right? We're talking about now 17 games in a season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be hard for him to be healthy. But to me, if he could just stay on the field, yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for him to kind of to reach that level of being an elite tackle. Elite guard. On our, we have comments also on Facebook, in the Washington Commanders Facebook group, Washington Commanders Nation group. My man said Vincent said his grade is already up there in terms of an elite guard. His numbers in terms of, I guess he's talking about, like, what's it what's it called, P what?
PFF, Pro Football
PFF.
Focus.
Thank you, my
PFF,
man.
yeah,
PFF. Yeah,
PFF.
PFF. Hank Holland said, with a good tackle and a good center beside him, yes, he could be an elite guard. Jeffrey S. Tangway says his numbers last year had him as a top guard, hoping the new additions will make him better. Ivan Clemens said yes, he can. Brandon Sheriff did. We'll see. Brandon Sheriff was a tackle in college, so
Yeah.
Zigazoo Nemo said no. John Yingling said not without a supporting cast. So I mean, an offensive line works in unison. So I get it. I'm not against that. But Mo, what about you, man?
I mean, to answer the question, I think it's a landslide. I think it's unanimous, similar to the poll that we took on X, on Twitter, however you want to call it. The man, as Glen noted, committed 4 penalties all year while playing majority of the snaps on the offensive line. I think he played the most snaps on the offensive line. 4 penalties, and I'm pretty sure with his background, those 4 penalties were extra effort penalties. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then he allowed 1 sack all year. So those are numbers that we see amongst the top rated guards and tackles in the league. I love his versatility, even though people would say that the tackle situation didn't work out, like you hinted to. When he came out of Texas, this is what we knew. And similar to our response that we got on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, I see shades of Brandon Sheriff.
That was on Facebook, but but go ahead though.
On Facebook, I'm sorry. I see shades of Brandon Sheriff. I think there's some similarities there. We knew that with his arm length coming out of college, what made him drop to the second round a little bit, because he wasn't the prototypical type offensive tackle where they'll put him on the left side and just close their eyes. You knew that eventually, like, if that didn't work out, you could bump him inside because he does have a mean streak. He plays aggressively, plays through the whistle. That's the Brandon Sheriff element of it for me, not just the fact that they both played the guard position, but the way that they actually played the guard. And the last time that this team had a quality guard that was pulling and leading the way. And to the credit of our listeners that listed out there, that in order for him to take that all-pro jump, even though he was highly rated last year by Pro Football Focus, he should have absolutely been a Pro Bowler, right? By the way he ended the season. So continuing that and having a little bit more flexibility with how the offense moves, or some creativity with how the offense moves under this regime, I think that a lot more notoriety is going to come to him. But Sam Cosmi is exactly what I want in the offensive lineman. Just a mauler, and most importantly, to the tune of the 4 penalties and the 1 sack, you don't hear nothing about him. I like my offensive linemen to go unnoticed. That means that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So can he be a high level guard in this NFL? I believe so. He's coming into his 4th year. He's coming into a new coaching staff. He's coming into having probably the best collection of talent he's had on the offensive line with him going into a season. Or, no matter what people think about this offensive line, but I think a lot of things are pointing north for him.
Yeah, I mean, this offensive line is this offensive line. This offensive line isn't it's not proven. It's not proven. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, like I told somebody today, this wasn't about the Commanders, about something else. It is July. We'll see. I want to see when they play a game, right? I want to see when they go up against somebody else, as my man Doc Walker says, when they able to smack somebody else in the mouth, right? That's when you will know when this offensive line is if they're good and what they can do when they go to that first preseason game, can line up, and that with those first 3 or 4 series, or first 2 or 3 series they get, and they march the ball down the field, and we see what this offense actually looks like against a team other than themselves, right? So I don't
That's
want to
what I
put
got.
all my eggs in one basket right now. I think he can be, and I think this offense can be better. But I do know that it's going to sink or it's kind of sink or swim for him.
I mean, seeing that we all agree that he can be this level of player, what specifically do we feel that he needs to improve upon to reach the level of the Trent Williams in terms of, what he was drafted as in terms of being a guard, or most notably, like your Quentin Nelsons of the NFL?
When you mention those names, Quentin Nelson, and you talk about Trent Williams, you talk about the best of the best, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the elite. Those are the guys that everybody should be striving to be, right? We know when Trent Williams finished playing with the 49ers, and if he doesn't go anywhere else, in a few years he'll be in the Hall of Fame, right? Because he's that guy, right? He has been here. He's been with Washington. He's been with the Commanders, and so there's people who played with Trent that's here, that know how he operates. And so when you are offensive lineman in any sport, or if you're an athlete in any sport, you look at the best because that's what you want to be, right? So if Sam can study and Sam can get in this offense and learn from Matt Quinn and learn from these other great offensive minds.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. Sorry, Dan Quinn is coming in and can learn from some of these other different offensive line group, a different offensive coordinator with Kingsbury, right? You're learning from different people how to hone your craft, how to get better. Put the offseason work in. The things that you didn't have under the last regime, forget those things, right? Put those things behind you, right? As Grandma would say, you chew up the meat and spit out the bones, right? You take what worked, what was good, and you move forward and move on. So I think if he wants to get to that elite level, he's gonna have to do what the elite guys do. Let's put forth the effort, continue to maul people, continue to make sure the quarterback stays upright in his on his side or in his direction, and just be that aggressive, be that dog. And again, if Washington's going to be a running game, make sure you want them to run behind you, right? And be the leader, and be that guy that he can be. Because like I said, he's a young guy, and in the 3 years with Washington, even moving to the guard, he has progressed. And even under a bad regime and underneath a bad offense last year, right? It was a terrible offense last year. He still was able to excel and should have been a Pro Bowler, but nobody's giving a Pro Bowler to nobody.
On a
Nobody
bad
on the
team.
team that don't win games. Yeah, bad team not gonna be a Pro Bowler. Sorry.
Well,
So for me, I think I talked about a little bit, just health. I think he stays healthy. And also I do want let me piggyback on with some of the comments we had. Like better players around him. You know what I'm saying? Like so you won't have to overcompensate for somebody else who's not doing their job. And I'm just talking about you don't even got to be an all-pro caliber player beside him. Just be a player who can do their job, can do their job, who's not getting whipped, on every play or getting whipped every other play. You know what I mean? Because then he has to overcompensate and has to hold or whatever or do whatever. Like he won't have to do that if he's right, if he's if his teammates can do their job. Or secondly, and also if they're running the football more, you know what I'm saying? I think that makes him a better player. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things offensively they can do to make him a better player. But in terms of like with Glen, Mo was talking about what you talking about in terms of playing offensive lineman the right way or playing with that style, he has it. So that should be conducive to like being an all-pro. You know what I mean? And the formula's there too, man. Like if you were a highly touted or a top prospect, I use that term, in terms of tackle, and you move them inside, you tend to not a lot of times those guys they pan out and they turn out to be like an all-world guard or whatnot. You seen it when I was growing up. It was Leonard Davis was a bust as a tackle, and then they moved him on the inside, and he became an all-pro. He played for the Cowboys, played for Arizona. Like there's so many teams, he became an all-pro guard. But at tackle, folks called him a bust. They thought he was terrible. You had Eric Flowers here.
Flowers.
They moved him in tackle, they moved him to guard, and everyone in this area fell in love with Eric Flowers. You know what I mean? They were like, why he ain't coming back? You know what I mean? To a point where, so I think that the recipe is there. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I'll piggyback to some of the comments. You got to have quality players around them, also health, and I think also scheme. Scheme has to benefit him as well. But I think he has all the tools to be an elite tackle.
Yeah,
like
Measurement 6'6", 310.
But the mean streak is what really sets him apart, though.
Yeah.
What Mo said, that because he finishes plays, and
He
you don't get a lot of
finishes plays.
guards. You don't get a lot of guards who finishes plays. He finishes plays.
Right. Like
But
and like he
that's
plays
supposed to do. You do
he
your
plays
job.
on the line. You know what I mean? Like he plays
Yeah.
on the line of like aggressive and doing too much to the
Yes.
point. Like he'll dump you off.
Yeah.
Like he'll dump you off, and
Mhm.
like and he's fine with that. You know what I mean? But like that sets the tone.
Mhm.
Individually, from what we saw from him last year, it's just a matter of him getting to the point of contact a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the problem with him at tackle.
Mhm.
You know, the tackles had to be dancing bears essentially. So if he can get to the point of attack sooner, because he doesn't have that reach in terms of his arm length. Because once he gets a hold of you, you're done with for the day. You're done with for that.
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, if this regime can come in and scheme things a certain way, where they use his best assets or they display his best assets, he can get up on defenders a little sooner because he's, and to Wole's point, having better talent around him will give him more confidence to do things.
Right.
You can see sometimes you can imagine being an offensive lineman feeling like you don't have people surrounding you that are capable of helping. Like you don't want to do too much because you don't want to get up out of your, you know what I mean? So like I think a lot of things are going to factor in, but individually for himself, I just like to see him get up on the defenders sooner because once he gets a hold of them, it's really nowhere they could go. Like he's really, really solid at the point of attack. Once he engages, you're not disengaging.
Yeah.
Or he holds off as long as he needs to make sure that the play goes past him and get to the second level. But
6
what
seconds.
makes what makes guards elite is that ability to get to that second level.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So I think that's
athleticism.
something that we want to see out of Sam Cosmi this year, and I think that'll make him a clear-cut Pro Bowler, especially on the inside, based off the people that he has to face in the division in the trenches.
Yeah, and he was athletic coming out of Texas. He's like the athleticism. You want to see a guard who can pull, who can get to the second level, who can make those additional plays. Brandon Scherf was good at it. Somebody mentioned Brandon Scherf. He was good at it. I think that but also a scheme though, right? If you're in a zone blocking scheme, like you run that, Shanahan scheme, typically those guys get to be on the second level. They get to move a little bit more. So it's all about, as we talked about, like I mentioned earlier, is about scheme. What's going to allow him to do more, and also something that you added on, Mo, like it's a great point. And having other guys around you. Sometimes in all sports, man, when the guy beside you is not doing their not doing their job, because it seems mean, but like not doing their job or not playing at the highest level, not playing efficiently, or playing lower than efficient. You know what I mean? Lower than low, right?
Right.
You're gonna feel like you got to overcompensate for that person. And then you're not doing your job. You know what I mean? Everybody coaches say do your job. Well, if you're doing your job, you want to make sure it's different when you're playing. If it's a passing situation,
yeah,
your teammates not doing their job, but you don't want your quarterback to get demolished. So you feel like you have to overcompensate. You know what I mean? Now if you have guys who are all playing in unison and playing accordingly, you don't have to feel that way. You can actually literally do your job, and you'll become a better football player. So I think that's very important that he does have better players around him. I'm not saying all world players. Everybody doesn't have to be a pro. Everybody doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler, but just guys who are better than or play better than they did last year. You know what I mean? Because last year that offensive line was atrocious. I don't care what you can put excuses on quarterbacks, whatever you want to do, holding the ball or whatever. Last year's offensive line was atrocious, except for Sam Cosmi. That is the honest to God thing. Except for Sam Cosmi, everybody was atrocious, and I feel like if they're better, he'll be better.
So with that reality of what the team looked like last year and the upgrades that have been made on paper, because we haven't seen it on the field yet, as Glen has noted, right?
Yeah.
What should Washington realistically expect in Sam Cosmi's development for the next few years?
If they say consistency with coaches, to being the anchor of this offense, for being that guy, unless they go and draft a surefire left tackle who is like a Trent Williams. But for the next few years down the line, if this coaching staff stay together and they can build some success and build around Sam, as one of the comments mentioned, put some people around him that accentuates his skill set. Mm-hmm. I think he could be the guy that we're talking about in a line of a Trent Williams. Of Quentin Nelson, those type of guys. He can be that in that conversation. And if this team starts winning, right? Because guess what? People pay more attention when the team wins, right? They start looking at every position. When team loses, if this team loses, and he could be all world, right? And nobody knows. Team has to be able to see it. People have to be able to see it. I think so. Within the next 5 years for him, we'll be talking about, man, this guy has really panned out as a good offensive lineman for the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels, right? We can't forget him because you want that line there for Jaden Daniels to keep him upright. So that's my belief. I think Sam can be elite. I think Sam he's put in the work to be elite. Now Sam has to show it on the field, and Sunday after Sunday to be elite.
Wole, realistic expectations for his development.
I think he can be literally. I think he can really be a Pro Bowler next season. I do. I think he has it in him. I think he plays with a different. I think we all see it when you deal with athletes. He plays with a certain amount of confidence. He didn't play with that same confidence to tackle. I would argue to say that he didn't get an opportunity to play tackle at the longest level. Long enough to get to get that confidence. Again, I think he could probably play tackle now for the team. Again, that's not the topic. That's not the topic. But on this team, I think there is a level of confidence he has in guard. Like I feel like he knows he owns guard. You know what I mean? I think that's very important. Like he feels like at guard, nobody can mess with him. Because you can see it compared to what he was as a rookie at tackle.
I mean, to your point, there was some of that at Texas too, because they've been talking about this transition to guard since the draft. Like, if it doesn't work out at tackle, you can immediately bump him in as a day one starter at guard.
I think he knows it, and not to be like gassing anybody. I think he knows it's easy for him.
No, for sure. I believe you on that.
Yeah, I think he knows, because if you heard the reports last year, like he asked Rivera. I mean, not last year. I think it was the year before last. It was probably last year. He asked Rivera at the end of the year, like I want to be a Pro Bowler. So the guard is it. Like if you think I'm better than guard, I'm gonna play guard, and that's what I want. That's what I aspire to be. But I do think that I think literally, I saw his rookie year. His rookie year, I thought he did a good job at right tackle. Good enough. I think his second year was kind of off, but his rookie year, I thought he was fine. But for a rookie, I thought he was pretty good for a tackle. But I just think the confidence, like his second year, you can tell that he lacks. When he was started, just like anything, you start getting beat, you start lacking confidence. You start feeling like, all right, this may, woe is me. But at guard, it's a different type of swag. I don't know, it's a different type of swag. It's like when he steps on that field, he don't care who you are. You could be the dudes from Philadelphia. You can be the tackles of Philly. You could be an Aaron Donald. He don't got fear. That's the thing. At guard, he don't have fear.
I've seen him go head up with Dexter Lawrence.
You know what I mean? Dexter Lawrence, he's not scared. He feels like, all right, bro, you got to work against me. You watch him, you hear him talk, and then you watch him on the field. There is a different. Compare that to what you see him his first 2 years. You can see it. There's a confidence in guard. So to me, I feel like, it could, this is your second full year playing guard. I think a Pro Bowl should definitely be in his horizon. If again the scheme matches up to what he can do, it's
absolutely. I think realistically, he's a Pro Bowler next year. If you look at how the last season ended, the last 8 to 9 games, he was playing out of this world, at a clip that that was something that was promising. That's why we having this conversation right now, right? And as you mentioned, I feel like he's always knew that he could be a guard. I feel like the allure of being a tackle in the NFL led him to taking that route because that's the bigger payday, that all that kind of stuff coming in. And that's why he went to Coach Rivera and said all that kind of stuff. If that's where you guys see me best fit, I'm gonna work, because he knows where his strengths are. All that moving and dancing in open space, that's not, even though the offensive lineman may not be great around him, there's still bodies around you too, and you in a shorter area of battle, right? Compared to being out there to tackle with these DNs and lining up wide nine, they're running stunts and all that kind of stuff. So I do see a Pro Bowl in his future, especially with this new regime, right? There's going to be some creativity in play calling. There's going to be an emphasis on getting people out in space. And I think that's where we're going to see his athleticism shine. We're going to see him get to that second level a little bit more consistently. because it's going to be touch and go. You know what I mean? Like chipping or setting or making people over pursue and then bringing it back. So there's a lot of creativity behind what this offense should be that's going to help his game appear to be drastically better than what it was last year. But people that have really been watching the trenches have known that like inside there, like he's pretty solid.
He definitely is. So,
Yeah, solid, definitely solid.
so should Washington consider trying to sign Cosby to an extension now before his price go up? Because again, he didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. He got and we all and folks said he could have made the Pro Bowl. He's just moving to a position you can get him right now. It's a good opportunity to kind of sign him, get him into an extension, and you got the money, and you don't got to worry about trying to overpay for him later on when he hits a free agent market when it's a bidding war for somebody who has a quality with Sam Cosmi. So, Glenn, should they?
Yeah, I think when you go back to your question about signing him early, let him perform. Give me till November, October. Let's have negotiation talks. Let's get to the midway point of the season, and we'll talk about what we're going to do with you. Right? They have money. They have cap space. I would lock them up, but I don't think this organization is really ready to start locking people up yet so till they can evaluate and know what they actually have. Right? And game and bullet situation when bullets are flying, games are going on, and then you can do all the business stuff on the back end. We talked about they need to make sure he's happy, make sure he's comfortable, make sure the negotiations are going well, not necessarily signing. Because Wole, you said something earlier about him being healthy, about his injuries. Let's see if he can stay consistently healthy, and then we could talk about the money this summer. I mean, because I think everybody has to be proven. There's new staff, new team, everybody got to be proven before you start giving people the bag. I can't give you the bag off what you did last time. I need you working for me now, so I give you the bag when I see the results that I desire.
Good.
To answer the question, I think that because it's a new regime, it makes it tough.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take a different angle. If I was Sam Cosmi, I wouldn't play. It's his last year of his rookie deal.
Yes, last year deal.
And like he showed some promise.
Man, get that Brandon Ayuk spirit out of here.
It's not
No, he's right though.
Brandon Ayuk
Right
spirit.
though,
That's just
That's right.
Remember, he already has injury woes, right? He's shown that in the past, right? Like he's coming off of a great second half of the year last year. People were talking about Pro Bowl. We know the Pro Bowl didn't happen because of the status of the team. This new regime they got to do some coddling. They got to make him just comfortable enough to believe that they're going to do right by him.
Yeah.
But still allow for them to scope out the scene with him, and if they really want to make him a linchpin of this offensive line. Yeah. But if I'm him, I'm putting pressure on them in the opposite direction because I don't want to go into my last year of my rookie deal trying to convince you that you should pay me at the most rugged position in the game, right?
Right.
And then we know who he's going to face this year. He's facing a whole bunch of interior linemen that are elite. So does that really work in his favor if he's getting beat by the elite? You see what I'm saying? In a contract year. But I think that it'll all be to nothing by the end of the season. As Glenn said, hopefully, they can work something out mid-season when they've seen enough of him under their scheme and see if he's a good fit. Yeah. Because I think it should go both ways. I think being as promising as he is and doing what he's done for this team over the course of over the course of last year, and the effort he gave as a rookie at tackle, I think it'll behoove them to keep somebody like that on this team.
To your point, real quick, Wole, if you don't mind, I think Adam Peters.
You on dark though. You on dark though. No one can see you. But go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry about that. My fault. I apologize for that. Hold on for a minute. My bad.
Yeah, go ahead. Now go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. My bad. Stuff was coming through. My fault.
Go ahead.
Adam Peters gonna spend money, right? We watch Commanders have money, right? So what I think, Adam Peters don't mind paying if you're performing, if you're producing. Yeah. And I think that's one thing about the GM that the Commanders have now is that if you're doing what you're supposed to do, that you're gonna get your bag. I don't think he should need to worry about the bag more so much as if let his agent worry about the bag You worry about playing football.
The thing that I would say, like, why I would think they could, you could get ahead of it ahead of time. Like a good GM knows they look, they see what the talent they have, and they can procrastinate and like what this player is going to end up being, or does this player fit or whatever. Like, and if I let this player play out, if I expect this player to play well, let me do it now and sign him for a lesser deal compared to what's going to be in the mid, like towards the end of the season. I won't even say the middle of the season. I think the middle of the season is fair, but towards the end of the season, because you waited, because of a good GM. GMs who just don't know, they don't know. But a good GM already has done their homework. They've watched the film. They have a good idea of what this player is capable of doing. The market kind of dictates the reason why I'm kind of like they should try and explore trying to work a deal out with him now, because a good GM can kind of gauge, all right, if I do this now, and I know I'm not competing with somebody else.
Right,
I'm competing with myself. That's different. Now you now you don't have, it may not be the bag. Mm-hmm. Now you paying for him for a different level. Think about it this way. Terry McLaurin is now signed for long-term deal on a cheap deal for him.
Yeah.
For what the wide receivers are making.
It's
what I mean?
It's beneath the franchise
thank
tag.
you. It really is. So if you
he's
think
ranked
about
like number 25.
So you think about it so you think about it that way, like, all right, because they were ahead of it. So before the wide receiver market got crazy, that's one thing I'll give the other regime credit. They got ahead of it before it went crazy. Now, like Cosmi, I'm with you. I get that's what your thought process and the way you explained it was beautiful. Like, you're right. You got to prove yourself. But sometimes certain GMs, you kind of got to forecast. You got to be like, I've done my homework. Like, I know what he brings to the table. Like, he fits me. Same with Kingsbury's offensive coordinator. He should know this too. Like, I've watched film on him. Just like drafting Jaden Daniels. Like, you had an idea already. Right. Like, you think Jaden is your guy. Like, he's your guy for your system. That's why you drafted him. Same way with Sam Cosmi. You see him be like, yo, he my guy. Like, I like him. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go out, which lets you know that they like Cosmi. They didn't go out drafting guards. I'll tell you that much.
No.
So they like Cosmi. Like, know they like Cosmi. Because if somebody doesn't like you, they don't like you, a new regime, especially, let's be real, guards are very, like, you can replace guards. Like, you can get guards in the draft pretty easily. They didn't go out there and say, like, yo, let me find me a guard. You know what I'm saying? Especially like Glen said, like
and then the one that they got was the kid that's the project out of TCU.
Yeah,
right. Because he has tackle ability.
He's a tackle, but they think about playing him at tackle anyway. They think about playing him at tackle anyway. So it's just like Cosmi's they've obviously said, like, they like Cosmi. So if that's the case, then sometimes you may have to say, let me do this. And to most point, Cosmi may be like, nah, bro, like, I know I can get some more money. So he could be like doing that. But I think it behooves Washington at least to explore it, to say, all right, maybe we can do this a little earlier, knock this out, and then we don't got and get him cheaper, because the market can make it even make him higher.
I'm with Wole on this one. I think that the team should. I think what he's put on tape at the guard position should suffice, because they know what offense they're going to run.
They do.
Currently, here's what you run into. The franchise tag is at $20.9 million.
Yeah.
He's in the last year of his deal. So if he has a Pro Bowl year,
then you got to pay that.
Then you got to pay at least minimally there, right?
At least.
And I'm not
he's young too.
I'm not going to play on my last year of my contract and then a franchise tag next year as an offensive lineman who's been hurt.
And not a guard either. I'm sick of getting guard. You don't got to no guard.
You don't want to franchise a guard. You don't want to waste your franchise on a guard. Most teams don't, right? Especially if it's not Quentin Nelson. Go ahead and get him right around that number or cheaper than that franchise number, because he doesn't have the accolades right now. I've talked to some guys that have done some NFL negotiations before.
Right.
Like, those accolades matter,
they
right?
Do.
Those accolades matter.
Yeah, they matter.
I mean, so without the accolades, you can get them for under that 20. You can probably get them at 15, 16 per year.
16, which is
a win for you. Year ahead of time, and you give them some security.
Yeah.
You stretch it out 4 years. It ends up being a 5-year contract, right? And now he's in the middle of the pack. You don't have to worry about him. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about him in the future. Like, he doesn't come up until Jaden Daniels is signed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Until Jaden Daniels is signed for the second contract.
Yeah.
And then Now you have some consistency, some continuity. He's the outright leader because his dollar amount says so, and his play dictates that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I agree. I totally agree with that. That's what I'm saying. You got to sometimes you just got to if you're good at your job, and we all expect Adam Peters to be good at his job. If you're good at his job at your job, you kind of forecast that. Like that's what you have to do. You can't. Sometimes there's certain positions. Yeah, if a player hasn't shown you anything, hasn't shown you a lot on tape, and then you're like, all right, I think he'll fit my offense, but I got to see it because a lot on tape. Like he has the skill set to fit my offense, but he hasn't shown it everything on tape. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he hasn't played at a high level on tape. You know what I'm saying? Like I can use an example. I can say that De'Ami Brown might fit a Kingsbury's offense, right? But he hasn't shown me enough on tape for me to say I'm giving you an extension. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to keep it a buck, like things like that.
Especially with this regime.
Yeah, exactly. So you just gotta, if somebody's showing you on tape, they graded well, especially when it's something as an offensive lineman, it is what it is. Like you got that mentality.
You're gonna pay somebody for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I just think like if I was them, I would kind of, if I could do it, I would kind of nip in the butt as early as I can. Mm-hmm. Then I know I have that position situated. Maybe now I can use this money and set it up for like free agency for whatever. Like I can now have a long-term plan. You know what I'm saying? Then when I'm thinking like, all right, so I took care of this. When Jaden when Jaden's rookie deal starts to kind of get weary, I know my money's going to be good for that. Like I don't got to worry about anything else. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of certain players, you got to play with it. You got to be like, all right, this is a friendly deal. All right, cool. All right, this is setting me up for this player that I'm gonna have to really break the bag for. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think they may have to just. I think he's one of the players to me that is that's typically really high in his position right now on this roster. Like he is really high in his position.
He's gonna earn, according to what this coaching staff is saying, he's gonna earn his keep regardless because a lot of running is gonna be behind him. So
exactly,
we're gonna see it from.
I mean, they trust him, and he has opportunity to show if he is elite or not. And elite guys get money. If you're not elite, you don't get the money. They give him a canvas. He just got to paint the picture.
There it is.
Yeah, they give you an opportunity to play. They definitely give you an opportunity.
Sam, go out there, do your thing, man. Be elite. Get your bag. Help the fortunes of this team.
Definitely, man. This has been a dope show. We talked about Sam Cosmi, and then next week's training camp's almost here, y'all. We almost there. We got some real stories to talk about. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're almost there, but we're about to wrap this show up, folks. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything and like our All Burgundy and Gold Everything Facebook page. Man, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Everything YouTube channel. Also like this video. All right, this has been a great show. Mo, Glenn, great job as always. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. It is deuces. We are out. Good job, fellas.
Yes, awesome. Sir. Great Appreciate work. Y'all, man.
Always, bro. Great work, man.
We'll talk